Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Cosmo here for the Cosmic Connection. I've just found some film footage that I lost on VHS tapes at least 30, 35 years ago. Videotapes that I had received from Roger the Dodger Nelson on KVEG, the Billy Goodman Thing radio program in Las Vegas in 1989. William Cooper called in the program several times, many stories about his call-ins and his state of mind. I knew Bill Cooper, and he would call into the program, and I'd answer his calls, and that's another story. But this film footage that I just found on the internet, not on YouTube, just some obscure place on the internet, is footage that I used to have. And it's some amazing footage. Now, the reason I'm bringing this forward to you is I went to Area 51 about a week after Billy Goodman interviewed Bob Lazar and told us of a place, the world actually. We went to 14 different states. We were a 50,000 watt CBS affiliate in Las Vegas, KVG, 840 AM radio. And Billy Goodman was the host. He doesn't get enough credit for what he exposed the world to, because a lot of people heard it way before George Knapp's UFOs, the best evidence, hit worldwide. It took a while for that to happen. We saw it in real time. I saw it in real time, and they were excellent episodes. The UFOs, the best evidence, occurred over a 2-week period, and George Knapp would put 15 minutes per airing each day for 2 weeks. I believe that's the way the programming was. But anyway, to get back to what we're saying here is that I was there when Bob Lazar stated what he stated, and it was a 3.5 hour, 4-hour interview with Billy Goodman. We, people from Fullerton, California, and myself went to Area 51 a week later. This is November 12th through the 18th, the 20th of 1989. We saw 5 events that night. One I call the stair-step maneuver, the instant disappearing and reappearing, the one craft splitting into 2 and then turning into 3. And then the circular of the valley. You can't really understand what's going on unless you've been there. But these craft came up, and when they were in the 3s, and 2 of them split from the one in the middle, there were 3 of them in a triangle shape. The 2 took off, one left, one right, and went around the valley. It must have intersected because there's a mountain behind you. Crossed, came back around, intersected with Bubba, of which my co-host Dennis dubbed, and that's what we call him, Bubba. Find the one that was sitting there. They disappear into 2, and then they disappeared into 1, and then that one went down. This peak right here, this is this is it. This isn't what I'm going to show you, but this is where it happened. And I have photographs of me in front of the black mailbox. It's historic. It's the most wonderful thing I've ever seen in my life, where you could actually go to a place and witness flying saucers in action. I say flying saucers because Bob Lazar said it's the sport model, and what he's described and the way he described it, many people don't say this, but Bob Lazar said these things are grown, just like you'd grow, a stalk of celery. This thing was grown. He thinks that's what happened, because the chairs were part of the craft, and he was just in the chair command area. There was one above and one below, and I believe he got to see below and the middle one. He didn't see what was above. But anyway, that's my story. Some of this video footage is exactly what I saw at Area 51. Bill Cooper states that he has not tilting the camera up and down. He keeps saying that it's gone from sideways to sideways. Probably his tripod was stationary, and he kept it at that elevation on the craft. And when it went up and down, the craft did go up and down. These are the maneuvers that I saw. So enjoy this video. I'm so happy to have found it. My video capabilities are long since gone. All the Cosmic Connection videotapes, I had 172. We did some 700 shows. They're gone. VHS. I have several on CD right now, up to maybe 29 that I have no idea how to transfer. Anyway, that's the story. I have a lot of stuff in archives that I'd like to get out, but I can't. Don't have the technology, basically computer, that you guys have nowadays. Back then it was nice, but today it's really complicated, and you guys got it sussed. But enjoy this video. This video footage is I believe Bill Cooper took this in 1989, 1990 at Area 51, which you're seeing here. And I'm so excited to see this. I hope you are too. There's no trickery involved in going on in this video. So enjoy, Cosmo, for the Cosmic Connection. It's been, 34 years? It's been a ride, I tell you. Take care, people. Thank you so much. And good night.
I could see that it was moving in a very strange direction, so I changed lenses and got a much bigger lens, which gave me a real good view. And I could see that the object was flying sideways. It would hover. It would go upside down more than once. It would reverse directions, go upside down in the opposite direction. So it did all kinds of things that I'd never seen before.
What kind of lights? Did the craft itself have lights on it, or did it glow?
And not on the top part of the surface. It seemed like it was the underneath that did the glowing. The circular lights were really obvious. It was kind of like they were on the edge of the bottom of the aircraft. Very unusual, and it was very easy to see even from a distance with the naked eye. But when you view through a scope, you get a real clear shot.
Did you see any other activity around the area? Any other aircraft or helicopters or anything that you could recognize and compare with what you saw?
Oh yeah, there were some helicopters, and you could see, because usually helicopters have like a red light on top and a white light on the bottom. It flies more or less in a straight line at times. And while this spacecraft was flying, there was some helicopters that were nearby, and then there was security kind of below the area where it was flying. Later on toward the evening, there was some jets and things like that. They were doing some testing, so you got a chance to kind of compare, versus an airplane, a jet, a helicopter, anything else. This was completely different.
On the first night that we were able to film the craft in the air, I thought it would be important to film some other things that people might think to confuse with what they were seeing. What you first saw was the brightest star in the sky that night, Sirius. What you're looking at now are the headlights of one of the security vehicles approximately 8 miles distant from us. You can see the top of the mountain range in the background. It is really very dark. And that is what most people would commonly call a UFO. Through the binoculars, it is actually almost saucer-shaped and looks very much like the drawing in the back of my book, in the appendix, my book, Behold a Pale Horse. This vehicle is moving at an unbelievable speed. It is 20 miles away from us, and the entire craft glows. Now, let me make that very clear to you. The entire craft glows and pulsates with light. What you're looking at is not an airplane. It is not a rocket. It is not a balloon. In a few moments, you're going to see some very small blinking or strobing lights. Those lights that you are going to see are aircraft and helicopters that are accompanying this craft on its test flight. This is a very mild test flight. It is not performing the maneuvers that we have seen it perform in the past. However, on another night, we captured this craft performing maneuvers which, according to the laws of physics, cannot be done. And if they could be done, according to the laws of physics as we know them, no human being could live inside a craft performing those maneuvers unless the laws of physics as we know them are wrong. What you are looking at is what people all around the world have been reporting since the late 40s as unidentified flying objects. In my research, I have found that Germany actually developed these craft during World War II. Notice just to the right of the craft, you can see helicopters and airplanes, one of them approaching the craft. That large flash that you saw in the background below the mountains was an explosion of some kind that went off in the distance. Remember, this is a military test site. They practice bombing runs. They do all kinds of things out here. They even detonate atomic bombs. See how small the airplanes and helicopters are compared to this craft? Remember, we're 20 miles away, filming this craft in the air. The horizontal movements, the real rapid ones, are when I'm panning the camera to keep it in the frame. At no time ever do I move the camera vertically. What you are seeing there is the craft making those maneuvers on its own. The only movement of the camera is horizontally to keep the craft in the frame of the video camera. Now, the craft did not disappear just then. There you can see it. However, you have to understand that the viewfinder on the video camera is so small, it's about a half-inch square, that in the pitch black darkness, I lost it, and I'm now trying frantically to get it back into the viewfinder, and there it is. This craft is huge. The entire skin of the craft glows like a light bulb. And it has now completed its test flight. It is going back into the test site at Groom Dry Lake, Area 51. It is not descending into the area known as S4. Don't pay any attention to all the baloney you've heard about that. Well, you saw the brightest star in the sky, Sirius. You also saw the headlights of the security vehicles. These are flares off in the distance. You can always tell flares because they leave smoke trails in the sky. Those of us who served in Vietnam are very familiar with flares. The small strobing white lights that you see diving down toward the flares are aircraft making practice bomb runs approximately 20 miles from our location. We could actually hear the muffled explosions all the distance. You can see now another plane coming in to make his run. This is what we came to film. This is the most incredible flying machine that I have ever seen in my life. You will see this craft on this night make maneuvers that, according to the laws of physics, are absolutely impossible to make. Now, through the binoculars, this looks like a metal-skinned craft, but the entire skin of the craft glows. What you just saw there was not the craft. It was an attempt to bring it into better focus. When you see extremely rapid horizontal movements like that, it is us moving the camera to keep it in the frame. We never move the camera vertically, never. You just saw the craft do something that we witnessed on many occasions. It literally disappears from the sky. Through the binoculars, you can see absolutely nothing there. It doesn't turn out lights. It doesn't stop glowing. It disappears. If what we've observed on other trips and on this night is what we think we're observing, then these craft are actually time machines. You see it just come back. It just materializes out of nowhere. And there it's gone again. This is uncut, unedited film. It is rolling exactly as we shot it. Now that's us moving to keep the craft in the frame. Remember, we never move the camera vertically. Now it's gone again. Through the binoculars, it literally disappears from the sky. It is not in this world anymore. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what to tell you. All I can tell you is what we saw and what we filmed and show you. These maneuvers by these craft have been reported by people all over the world, from every walk of life, from every station, from every economic situation, from presidents and leaders and rulers of countries, to chief executive officers of large corporations, to military personnel, officers and enlisted, to the man on the street, to homeless, primitive tribesmen who have never read a UFO book and have never heard of UFOs have reported these craft. You just saw it disappear. You just saw it blink back on and disappear again. We have no way of knowing where it goes. We cannot explain this. But we can tell you, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that these craft belong to the United States government and are flown from a super secret test site owned and operated by the United States government, which the government denies exists. You will also see that test site in this video, filmed for the first time from a mountain overlooking the area. This is the only film of its kind ever taken. This is a historic video. This is a historic film. Not just this section of the film, but the one that you saw previously, and the film that you are going to see later in this videotape. Now, Germany developed this technology during World War II, and they've been secretly working on it ever since. Why is it kept so secret from the public when we know by our research that the United States government, Great Britain, Canada, and the Soviet Union all possess this technology? Did it come, as many people say, from an extraterrestrial source? I can't answer that question. Those are the donut-shaped movements that was explained to you by one of the people that I took along with me. The 4 people that you see in this videotape had never seen a UFO before in their life, and that's why I brought them with me. so that you could hear from their own mouth what they saw. Now let me venture a question to you. What better way to unite all humanity in a one-world government than if we were attacked by some other species from some other planet? Does this some other species really exist? Or is this technology being used to make us believe that they exist in order to break down the sovereignty of nations and bring all of the people of the world together under one world government? That's a lot to think about, and I'm not going to take it any farther than that. At least, not in this video. Remember, this film is uncut and unedited. And this is the longest test flight that I have ever witnessed this craft perform. We were also extremely lucky to be able to get this footage. On one of the last nights of my stay, exactly on the boundary of the test site, I watched this craft come up and fly directly over my head. The camera was on a tripod and captured this film footage as I watched. I was so surprised by the actions of this craft, which made no noise whatsoever, that I couldn't even think to pick up the camera and turn it around and follow it across the Tikaboo Valley. It was shaped like a flying wing, what's commonly called a boomerang-shaped craft, made no noise, and had white lights all along the leading edge. This is a satellite photograph of the Groom Dry Lake area. The arrow is pointing to the runway, which is over 35,000 feet in length. You can see the facilities on the upper left quadrant of the screen. This is another historic piece of video footage. The first footage ever taken of the actual installation inside Groom Dry Lake from the top of the mountain, which you saw climbed earlier in this videotape. Here you're seeing an airplane land at the site. This is not one of the saucer-shaped craft. What you're looking at are the landing lights. You can see it very clearly through binoculars. The actual craft that we're talking about, the UFO saucer-shaped type craft, the entire thing glows. The entire flying machine glows like a light bulb. Now it's landed on the runway and it's taxiing up to the facilities. The Army, Navy, and Air Force, and the Marines, and the United States government have denied the existence of this test site for years. This is some type of construction that has marred the landscape and appears to have entrances which go underground. We were unable to identify the exact nature or purpose of that installation. Now, if you follow the dirt road from Highway 375 at the foot of Hancock Summit, this is where you will end up, and you must go no further than those signs. This security vehicle was waiting for us like a spider, and as soon as we drove up, they began coming toward us. But they stopped as soon as they saw that I had a video camera on my shoulder. These men who work for Wackenhut Corporation do not like to be videotaped. They do not like their picture taken. Those are the signs. I would advise you to stay as far away from those signs as I am standing as I make this video. If you cross the line between those signs, or any line that makes up the boundary of the test site, you are fair game. They could be charged with espionage, could be arrested, and as far as I know, maybe you could be shot. This is the gate of the Medlin Ranch, and here you can see the ranch. There are quite a few trailers on this ranch, and we've watched many of the security vehicles drive up. The occupants get out, go into these trailers, and not come out for several hours. We deduce from this that the ranch is a front for the security. At night, I have driven down the dirt road toward the ranch, and a brilliant white light comes on top of one of these poles and alerts everybody in the valley that someone is on the dirt road. As I said in the beginning of this film, you cannot come anywhere near this test site without coming under the surveillance of someone for the entire time that you are here. This is the bus that takes workers to and from the test site, and contrary to what you may have heard and what some hysterical storytellers have said, you can clearly see that the bus windows are not blacked out. These men who work in this test site and the women who work in the test site know exactly where they work, and there is no need to black out the bus windows. Also, while you're out here, be careful because all of these vehicles drive very fast down these dirt roads. And that's one of the reasons why, so the dust cloud doesn't catch up with them. Many people have asked me, after they saw Project Red Light, the first film, if we had photographed any of these craft in the daytime. Well, here's your answer. I can't tell you what it is. I can't tell you what it's doing. I can't tell you how it's making that trail in the sky. All I can tell you is that it is brilliantly lit, just like the craft that flies at night. It is huge. It's approximately 20 miles away. This particular craft is moving very slowly, however. We suspect that they produce some kind of electromagnetic field which literally ionizes the air. Whereas it looks like the entire skin of the craft is glowing, it may be that it is ionizing the air, and it is the air that is glowing. Now, that's just a supposition. I don't know that to be fact. Now, watch what happens here. These things are absolutely incredible. When I was attached to the Office of Naval Intelligence many years ago, I learned that whatever you perceive as the state of the art of any technology in the public sector, that they are at least 50 to 100 years ahead in secret. This videotape should prove to anyone who watches it that science fiction is no longer fiction. It is science fact. If this technology were available to the public sector, your guess would be as good as mine. This is one of the black helicopters that dogged us while we were making these video films. We saw this in the sky, and it probably is a natural phenomenon, but it was just too unusual to go unfilmed. It is a large Roman numeral 6. This is what's commonly known as a cigar-shaped craft hovering above the test site in daylight. You can see that it's right under the tip of that white cloud. It is metal. Through the binoculars, you can clearly see that it is metal. It moves out from under the tip of that white cloud and actually moves sideways into the cloud bank behind it after moving some distance to the left. You'll watch it move to the left, out from under the small cloud that it's sitting under, and then you will see it move away from the camera, directly away from the camera, and into the cloud bank behind it. It is a huge metal, unconventional type aircraft. And that's the only thing that I can tell you about it because it's the only thing that I really know. I cannot tell you how these things are propelled. I cannot tell you what makes them work. I can't even tell you where they really originated from. But I can tell you the ones that we have filmed out here in the desert belong to and are operated by secret agencies of the United States government. And we know from our research that they are also owned and operated by the governments of Canada, Great Britain, and the Soviet Union. What better way to unite all humanity in a one-world government than if we were attacked by some other species from some other planet? I advise you to think very seriously about that statement. This is a photograph that I took of the craft flying over the test site. It's a black and white photograph. It was taken with a zoom telescopic lens at a great distance of black and white film and blown up. This is the photograph that Gary Schultz took of the same object approximately a year before I took my photograph. They are exactly the same craft. This is a drawing of the craft that you just saw in this video and on those two photographs. This drawing was made by a man who works in the secret agencies of the United States government and was able to view this craft in a hangar at Norton Air Force Base.